Look at that beautiful sunrise. Beautiful day. You know, days like today, you hear the birds singing. It's just beautiful. It's actually cool weather. We got blessed with some rain. Just a wonderful day. Good morning, everybody. This is John Scarborough. We're out here working on this fence today. I don't know how well you can see it. If you look down that fence, we're up on this hill. And right up as we come up on these hills, we're using these 3/8 line posts that you buy at Tractor Supply. And right as you come up on the hill, it's just harsh enough that it causes, sometimes you'll get some of these thinner posts, they'll lean a bit. And that just means it's a bit too much for them. There's a couple things that you can do there. We'll turn around here. Don't know if you can see that, but the fence is leaning. It's not quite in line. And so there's a couple of things that you can do to fix that. One thing you could obviously do, I don't know if you can see it here, is you could take this post and just pull it back straight and then just make you a little kicker that kicks off this way. I don't really like to do stuff like that if I don't have to. I mean, I will do it sometimes, but if it's more on the permanent side, I don't really like to do that. So what I think I'm going to actually do here today, get my camera set right, we're going to take one of these timeless posts and we're going to drive a couple of these in. There's 3 posts right here on this hillside. I can get you in line there. There's 3 posts there. One here, one there, one on the other one. I believe if I just change the 2 outside ones, the middle one will be fine and they'll hold up. If not, then we'll go ahead and change it. And then the other problem we have, and I may not fix that on this video, but it will have to get fixed, is right here as we come up, we go down this little slope here, and I'm calling these hills, this place is pretty much flat compared to the land I'm used to working with. But you can see here, I'm coming way up to my arm there, and then this one right here, I mean, that's just tall enough. A cat's probably going to get through there, so we'll have to have something to pull that down. So now that the fence is run, there's a, you know, it kind of manifests a couple other problem areas. Places I kind of figured would be a problem, but just stuff that we need to address now. Hard clay soil. So we're actually going to run this in there. This is a wood drill bit. Now I buy the cheaper ones when I know that I'm going to be running them into dirt, just because it's not so good for the, you know, I wouldn't take my quality, expensive wood bit and drill it in the ground. I'm going to buy a cheap one because it works incredibly well as a dirt auger. So I'll put you a link, if I can find one. I'm going to put an Amazon link in the description where y'all can get one of these, because it just makes it a lot easier for doing your work. If you don't have that, when you go to drive these posts right here, you'll drive it in the ground and it will hit a rock and it'll twist, or it'll start to bend off or something like that. So, and I know you can't see my face in this, guys, just because of the way the camera angle is, but I got to do that to make sure that you can see the ground and see everything we're working with here. So what I'm going to do, since my wire is already tight, I'm going to leave everything in place here, and I'm going to go right next to it, drill my hole, drive my post in. That way I don't drop my wire down. I'm not having to fight my wire. So just kind of pull that up, figure out where I'm at, give me just enough room to work it. Alright, that works pretty good. This is an old T-post driver I bought. I mean, I found, well, I guess I did buy it, but I got it at a old auction or something. I don't remember where I got it. But anyway, it's starting to fall apart. I need to get it re-welded on there. Somebody, looks like somebody welded 6011 on there. When you got anything with that much vibration, you should really go with 7018. That's about right. We end up driving that post down just a little bit more than the suggested height, but that's okay. The thing we're trying to do is just make sure that our wire ends up in the same place as the rest of it. So I'll also leave a link for my wire that I use here. Typically I use a 12 gauge tie wire. It's a soft galvanized wire. It's way better than that baling string wire. It just works significantly better. And it's galvanized, so you don't have to worry about it messing up on you. So I'll leave a link for both of those. Sometimes I'll use a 14 gauge when I'm on this thin 3/8 stuff that I buy from Tractor Supply. These 3/8 posts, I'll use a 14 gauge. And 14 gauge is fine. I just kind of prefer the other one a little bit better. Probably just OCD or whatever you want to call it, overkill. I got my post. Well, now I'm spinning around a lot. Look at that beautiful sunrise. Beautiful day. You know, days like today, you hear the birds singing. It's just beautiful. It's actually cool weather. We got blessed with some rain. Just a wonderful day. Days like today makes me just like, I could listen to music, I could do stuff like that, but I just prefer to just listen. And you know, it's those quiet times, you never know when the Lord might speak to you, you know. So I just like to be quiet sometimes and just enjoy the morning. You see what I did there? Just got that post in. That works pretty good right there. I got to go ahead and get my bottom wire in. But if you notice, I don't know if you can notice down the line there, you probably can't, but that line is still a bit low in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll take these small posts that I just pulled up and I'll go ahead and pop them in the middle. So I doubt you can see it behind me. I think you can see the fence leaning over, but if you go back about 2 posts back, I'm pointing in the wrong direction, about 2 posts back, that's where the post that we just put in, that one is standing straight up and down. So I think if we go to this post right here, this one, I think we're going to be able to straighten that out. Put one more in there, and then I think the middle, we'll leave the middle in there, and then we'll add the 2 that we pull out. We're going to add those down like right between everything. So I'll show you that. You want to make sure that you're holding your drill straight up and down. I know that's probably stating the obvious, but I just better go ahead and say it. Because wherever you drill that hole, that's where that's going to land. You want this, when your post is standing straight up and down and you put your post in, you want the back side of your post to land on the back side of that hole. You know, I was thinking about listening to the still small voice. The reason I'm not listening to music. Like, you could be listening to Christian music or hymns. I've heard people say that if you don't want to listen to music. I mean, I like 80s rock. That's my favorite kind of music, but a lot of people say that if they're trying to get close to the Lord, then they want to listen to Christian music. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking it a bit. Not at all. I mean, I like to listen to hymns, but sometimes, the Bible says that it speaks of the Lord's still small voice. And sometimes I think in order to hear that, we need to turn everything off and stop choosing. Just listen to what's there and just be quiet completely. King David said he meditated on the Lord and on the ways of the Lord. Sometimes I think that's how we meditate. I like to paint these posts right here, these these fiberglass posts. You can tell them gray down here and white. Maybe the camera's picking that up. I just like to paint them just because these are fiberglass and they're good posts, but eventually that fiberglass is not going to hold up well in the sun. You put that white paint on there and it just helps it to last quite a bit longer. It doesn't cost that much either. I just walked off my distance so I know about how far to go. So I'll just split that distance off. When y'all drive these thin fiberglass posts in, get you something like this. I just made this out of gas pipe, but sometimes you can sell something that will just slip over the end. It will really preserve the life of that top. The ground's not quite as hard anymore, but I do have a bit, and sometimes I do need it for those smaller posts like this right here. You would have to go with like a 1/4 inch bit. Sometimes I definitely need it because it will pull it off to the side or something like that. And you want a bit that fits good, because if it's oversized you can't go all the way down, but if it fits good you can go all the way past, like too far down. That way you know your post is driving in straight all the way and there's no rocks in the way. Like I said, I'm going to try to put a link for everything in there if I can. So I pre-drill these holes when I'm using these posts. And usually I like my 12 gauge wire, like I said, for most tie wire. But in this case I'm using a 14 gauge because I want to be able to put a smaller hole. I want the smallest hole possible so I don't really weaken my post. And then I just slide it right through that hole. I usually like to go one wire over, one wire under, and then around on both, but kind of a loose fit. And then I'll bring them together and twist them tied in the back. Cut the excess off. And I do not like to leave that wire here in the pasture. Might not ever hurt anything, but you never know. And I like to do that whether it's my land or a landowner. Either way, well, first of all, either way, it's going to be my livestock on it. But it's not just that. I mean, you know, you can always just throw it over the fence, but it's just, I just don't want to. There's no reason to it. It's not that much harder to just go ahead and do it right. Integrity is not something we see in our world anymore. Alright, so that's that. I'll give you a close-up of it. See how it's kind of loose? It's not a real tight fit. That way this can slide and move. And then the back side is just like that right there. Pretty easy. So I was reading in the book of Joel this morning. I was reading about the Lord told Joel to tell the people, I believe it was, if I remember right, they needed to lament and pray to the Lord and repent. And then after that, it was speaking about the Lord, like if they would do those things, then the Lord would give them plenty, take care of them, but also get rid of the pestilence of their land. And I was kind of thinking about, it kind of seems like that what the Lord wants most from us. I don't know this, so I'm not preaching to anybody or telling anybody this to be the case. Just saying that it kind of seems this way, and you are welcome to leave your own comments down there, but it kind of seems like that the Lord created us to love Him more so than He created us to serve Him. I've always been under the impression that we were created to serve. Here recently, I've just been thinking about that more. I thought about David. King David, a lot of times he would say in his Psalms, he would say, you know, he would pray that the Lord would avenge himself, essentially. He would pray that the Lord would avenge the Lord, essentially. And after that, the Lord would. But it was like, there's like many times it seems like the Lord waited to do things, certain things, because He wanted His people to do something that showed that they loved Him. Simple as that. It seems like to me. And there's just many places, you know, we get a free gift of forgiveness from Christ. And works are good, but works isn't our salvation. So it just kind of seems like that the Lord created us to love Him, and then as a result of loving Him, we give Him service because of that love. You know? And that's something I used to think it was the other way around. We serve God, and then almost like love was secondary. I don't know if that's what I thought. I never actually intentionally thought that, but as I went on, I started realizing that a lot of times I thought in terms of thought. I thought in terms of service rather than in the terms of love. So that's just something I've been thinking about more and more. Y'all tell me what you think. One of the things I like about these posts right here is that they've already got pre-drilled holes and everything. They're just a good post. They are very pricey. Now, they've got a good warranty and everything. I believe that they are definitely worth their money, but they are pricey, so I am careful where I use them.
If it was on my land, I wouldn't mind using them all the way, but you know, you got to think, even if you sold a piece of property, at least in our part of the country, even though this is a wonderful post and it costs more than a T-post, you may actually be devaluing your land. I don't know if that's the case or not, but people in our part of the country don't really like electric fence. They like T-post. So even if you're doing something better, it's kind of crazy to think that you can devalue your land while spending more money. So it's worth giving those things thought. So when I'm doing an electric fence or something like that, I still have to think. I have to think of the cost. All right, guys, I think that's going to about wrap it up. Made the fence a lot straighter across here. We added those 2 extra posts. Made everything a lot better just coming up and over this hill. The last thing I got to do is over here. There's a little spot that drops down, but I'm probably going to put that in a different video, so y'all make sure you like and subscribe. But I'll put that in a different video. I won't do everything all in one video. So we'll see y'all next time.